NuVoodoo Ratings Prospect Study 19 was fielded earlier this month. We interviewed 3,298 14 to 54-year-olds so that we could learn more about their audio entertainment listening habits. Lee and the NuVoodoo research team are busy crunching data and getting ready for our free presentation to the radio industry. It takes place on Wednesday, February 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Reserve your spot at nuvoodoo.com/webinars. We're back in a moment with today's Ratings Prospect Study preview. Lee Jacobs will help me profile these rare individuals and what makes them likely to become a panelist or diary keeper.
In addition to ratings prospect studies with national samples, NuVoodoo has a solution for local programmers who need answers fast but don't have the time or budget for a full-size perceptual study. We call them ASAP studies. They have a shorter interview and a slightly smaller sample so that we can get them through fielding more quickly and get answers back to you at an all-in cost of under $10,000. It's easier to justify getting the answers you need. For more information about NuVoodoo ASAP studies, contact us at tellmemore@nuvoodoo.com.
The percentage of ratings prospects in our sample has remained remarkably consistent over the course of 19 semi-annual listening studies. RPS yes listeners dropped slightly to around 18% of all study participants this time, compared to when we last asked in June of 2021, and the RPS 60 segment holds steady at 7%. This is the subset of ratings prospects who listen to broadcast radio an hour or more each day. Remember, unlike out there in the real world, our total research sample is already survey-friendly. These are people who are drawn to compensated research studies. Even so, when we describe what's involved in becoming a ratings participant, better than 8 in 10 want no part of it, and they're classified here as RPS no's. So why do ratings prospects say yes to Nielsen? It's a 4-letter word, but not the one typically uttered by radio execs after a bad book. It's CASH, cash. Yep, there's a reason why station contests remain radio's primary promotional tool. Money and prizes are how panelists and diary keepers are incentivized to be part of the ratings. Cash, rewards, and big prizes outrank so-called responsible citizen incentives like giving voice to others or rewarding stations for community service or influencing media companies.
Remember, Nielsen not only thanks participants with money, they also incentivize compliance with sweepstakes prizes. In PPM markets, panelists have their own contest platform, and they're entered to win regularly for meeting the daily and weekly in-tab requirements, for meters that are recharged and detected constantly in motion as well.
While rating samples are weighted for gender, age, and ethnicity, there are many other characteristics for which they're not controlled. Marital status, for one. And we see that singles are significantly underrepresented as likely ratings respondents. It's 34% of RPS yes respondents compared to 47% across our total sample who were single. And married couples over-index as ratings prospects by a wide margin. 54% of RPS yes respondents are married, while it's just 37% across our total sample who are married. RPS yes respondents are far more likely to have kids under 18 living under their roof. There's a 15-point gap when we compare RPS yes respondents living with kids at home to the kids at home composition across our total sample. 68% of ratings prospects versus 53% in the total sample. Comparatively, those with no kids at home are underrepresented as ratings prospects. 31% of RPS yes respondents with no kids under 18 at home, who are dwarfed by the 43% of those across the total sample with no kids. The pattern remains consistent when we compare RPS yes respondents to the total sample according to household size. Larger households of 3 or more over-index for likely ratings participation, and those from smaller households under-index, though admittedly the delta here is less dramatic than we've seen in past NuVoodoo Ratings Prospect studies.
It's time to put it all together and take advantage of the data that you've just seen. Focus your marketing on larger households, skip singles and empty nesters. Give priority to families with kids. Nielsen compensates participating households on a per respondent basis. The larger the household, the more free money comes to the mailbox. And we know how much cash and prizes matter to RPS yes listeners.
Before we end our Ratings Prospect Study 19 preview, take a look at the disparity between our total sample and RPS yes respondents at the upper end of the time spent listening spectrum. While only a third in our total sample listen to radio for at least 30 minutes each day, it's more than half of the RPS yes listeners. You'll notice less than 1 in 5 in our total sample listen to radio for at least 60 minutes a day, while RPS 60s double them, making up 36% of all ratings likelies in our sample. Remember, these TSL-intensive RPS yes listeners, or RPS 60s, make up only 7% of our total sample.
The game may be played by finding and influencing RPS yes listeners, but it's truly won or lost with RPS 60s. They make or break your ratings. We'll dedicate a significant portion of our presentation time studying all of their audio entertainment and other media habits and show you the best ways to find and influence them.
Reserve your spot at NuVoodoo.com/webinars and join us on February 16 for NuVoodoo's Ratings Prospect Study.